Servus and hello, Matthias Eichler here, and this is Singletrack. Summer is knocking on the door and the trail racing season is slowly heating up. What better time than to check in with friend of the show, Steve Auch from Reichenhall, Germany, who just directed the city on trail event in the Bavarian Alps. Yes, the Alps don't just have UTMB events. But before we hear from Steve, if you're looking for a challenge, come race Beast of Big Creek with us on August 5th above Hoodsport by Lake Cushman on the Olympic Peninsula. This mountain event races to the summit of Mount Eleanor and back in 14 miles with 5,200 feet of vert. You're welcome. Sign up today and secure your spot. We'll sell out in the next few weeks. rockcandyrunning.com/beast for all the details. Alles klar. Okay, let's switch to English. Steve, I'm so excited to have you back on the show. I'm super, super excited every time when I have folks back on the podcast because there's sort of a continuation in the conversation and it's fun to connect back with people and sort of hear what they've been doing since. But with you in particular, it's extra exciting because you didn't just do a few more races. And so I'm checking back in. You just organized a massive trail running event in the south of Germany. And I'm super excited to hear all about it, how it was to switch from here I am a runner running races to now I'm a race director and I'm in charge of all these people and responsible for them. And so let's hear it. Welcome back to the show.
Hi, Matthias. Yes, thanks for having me again.
So tell people what race you organized, where it was, what the distances were. Give us the whole spiel.
Okay. Yes, we organized a race in Germany. It was the opening race of the Golden Trail National Series for the DACH region. So that means German, Austria, and Switzerland. And it was the first race out of 5, and it was a trail race with 19K distance and 1,300 meters of vertical gain. That's the first part of the race. So it's called City and Trail. So we've done the trail part, and there's also a city part where runners are not so familiar with trail running can compete in a 10K city race. And we have a 700-meter race for the children, and that's the whole day. So trail running in the morning and city running in the evening.
And for the audience, where in Germany are you located? Where's the race?
Yeah, it's Bad Reichenhall. So if you look on the map, it's in the upper right corner, so next to Salzburg in Austria.
Okay, in the very right corner. What did they call it? Don't they call? There's a name for that corner. It fails me. Anyway, so Bavaria, close to the mountains, but not really.
Sorry, it's the lower right corner.
It's the lower right corner, right?
Lower right.
Yeah, exactly. I was
so
like,
not the coastline.
yeah, exactly. I was like, upper right corner of what? Yeah, lower right corner. Exactly. Close to the mountains. And a very unique concept, and I'm excited about this. We need to talk about this a little bit more. I don't think I know of a single running event that calls itself City and Trail. So is it 2-day event? So you have the possibility of running 1 day trail and a 2nd day road, or is it both events on the same day?
Okay, so the history of the race is, I think, it started 20 years ago. So the local sports club organized a half marathon, a flat half marathon, and I think it was during Corona. They had a lower number of participants, and so they decided to do a new race. And they contacted with Philip Reiter. Maybe the Americans know him, so he was a Salomon ambassador and Salomon athlete.
The guy with the camera, the German guy who always has the camera in front of his face.
The German camera guy, yeah. Because he is a brand ambassador for this region and a local sports brand ambassador, or however you want to call it. And so the sports club who was organizing the half marathon contacted with Philip and said, "Hey, okay, we want to overthink our race and all these different things. So what about going down from a half marathon to a 10K run, but also putting on the ability to do a trail race in the mountains?" And Philip said, "Hey, yes, that's a great idea, because I always wanted to organize a trail race in my home region." And so they connected, and Philip asked me if I want to participate in the organization crew. And yeah, so one becomes to another. And last year it was the first edition. So we spread it on 2 days. So on Saturday, the 10K city run, and on Sunday, the trail race. But it was, the trail racers on Sunday haven't had the chance to participate on the party on Saturday, because they want to run on Sunday. So it's not the best way to party hard on Saturday and race harder on Sunday. So we decided to put this event in 1 day.
Okay.
Starting with the trail race in the morning and the city race in the evening. And you have the chance, if you want to you can participate in both races, but I think only 3 people did both races. So mostly the people do the trail race or the 10K city run, or the ability to switch down to a 3.3K run in the city, because the 10K run is divided in 3 loops. So 3 times a 3.33 kilometer loop.
So it is a very unique concept. And now hearing that it's fairly new idea means that, so how many people signed up? Is it something that people like? Do they like the idea of sort of an event where road runners and trail runners mix? Sometimes you get the feeling that road runners are not really the same crowd as trail runners, and so mixing it seems a little bit weird.
Yeah, last year we had 150 trail runners, and this year we had 290 trail runners who signed up, and I think around 240 who towed the starting line. And for the city run, we had, I think last year 200, and this year 250, 300. About. Yeah, so we have the chance to bring them all together, the trail runners and the road runners, and I think that's a cool thing. And yeah, it was a great feeling in the city, and party people all around.
So that's my next question. So since the distances are very short, right? If I think of it from a North American perspective, nobody would travel very far for such a short distance. And distances are anyway really far in between. So you wouldn't get, for a race of that short distance, you wouldn't get a lot of people from out of town. How is it for you? Germany, it's, lots more densely populated. Do people travel, or is it a race for the locals?
I think the city run in the evening is more for locals and people who want to travel maybe 1 hour or 1.5. Or for people who combine it with a vacation, because we had a long holiday weekend. So the weekend mostly started on Tuesday and ends on Sunday. So you had the chance to combine it with a short holiday with your family. And for the trail race, we had participants from Italy, Switzerland, Spain, Belgium, Argentina, US.
Oh, obviously because of the Golden Trail
part of the Golden Trail National Series.
Yeah. Okay. So, yeah, so many questions. So let's talk a little bit about this Golden Trail Series. This was the first year you partnered with Golden Trail Series.
Right.
What do you feel like as a race director? What did they bring to the table? Do you feel like that was a good partnership? Did you enjoy working with them, or do you feel like it was a burden that didn't really help your organization?
No, that was an absolutely great partnership, because they brought all the athletes from other countries to the city, and also the media in days or weeks and months before the race. So they announced all the different stations of the Golden Trail National Series. Nice videos from Salomon. The Salomon team is publishing all the different races they're racing in, and we all mentioned everywhere mentioned city and trail, Bad Reichenhall. That was great. So partnership perfect for us as a small race, completely organized by volunteers. So yeah, we really like it and looking forward for 2024.
Yeah, exactly. So tell me a little bit about the trail course, the road. I'm still fascinated by the combination of it both. As somebody who's a race director myself, I'm always thinking of creative ways of sort of offering an event to people who are looking for an adventure, right? Even if it's an adventure through town. And sometimes the idea is too complex that people are not really understanding what you're trying to do, right? Or to your point, right, that you're trying to do it on 2 different days, and then the trail runners don't want to party the night before because they have a race in the morning. Right? So you have to figure out how pieces come together.
Yeah.
But I'm super fascinated with the idea. Let's talk a little bit about the route, the course for the trail. Explain it a little bit. Start and finish in town.
Yeah, we start at the town center next to our town hall at 10 o'clock in the morning. And from the starting point, you can also see the highest point of the race. So you look right at the town hall and see the mountain, only a small part of the summit, but okay, that's the part where the race has its highest point. Then we start with a very flat 3K section for the beginning. It's good because the field of all the participants expand a little bit, and no 200 people are running to the first ascent, so it expanded a bit. So the faster people are on the front pack, and not so fast people in the middle pack and backpack. And after these 3 kilometers, we start the first climb. It's a moderate climb, 200 meters. Of altitude of vertical gain, divided or parted on 2K of the track. And then the main climb begins, and we're climbing 1,100 meters of vertical gain. I think around 3 or 4K distance. So it's very steep at the beginning and much steeper at the end. We are starting in the forest and leading up to a technical scrambling part, the last 300 meters.
Nice.
Reaching the top of the course, where Mountain Hut is located next to the summit. So we're not able to go to the summit and high five the summit cross, because it's the trail is too narrow and all the hikers are up there, and we have runners coming back on the track. So we have to directly descend after reaching the highest point, descending over a small ridge for around 500-600 meters, and then starting the direct downhill back to the City Hall town center. So technical downhill, start very, very rocky, and leading up in a trail through the forests, coming back on the first 5K of the track. So it's a lollipop route.
Okay, perfect.
And the last 5K are the first 5K. So also 3K flat section at the end. The runners hate this section, but it's part of the game.
It's part of the game, and as you mentioned, I think especially the starting off point is super important to stretch it out, because the runners would hate even more if you immediately start with narrow trail, because they couldn't overtake each other. It would be frustrating. Okay, no, I totally get it. So what you're describing is in some respects the absolute quintessential European race. You have a start and finish in town square, you run a few kilometers out of town, and then you go to some challenging trails fairly quickly, and then you head back down, and the finish is in mountains. What was the fastest time? What did some of the runners put down?
So last year, the course record was set to 2 hours and 2 minutes.
Okay. And that was before Golden Trail Series participate.
Yes. But
Okay.
also with very competitive salmon athletes at the starting line.
Okay.
So for this year, we checked that the field is much deeper and much more competitive. So we aim for a time sub 2 hours. So maybe 1:58, 1:55, and we ended up with 1:50. 1 hour, 50 minutes.
Yeah. Okay. so someone surely laid down the hammer here. Oh, that's fantastic. That is a super good time. Since you're the race director, I need to talk a little bit about what it feels like to direct a race and how that differentiates from American races. Let's talk about permits. Like, if you put an event on like that, who do you have to ask for permission? Like,
it's very difficult in Germany, and we are very proud that we have this local sports running club. With the head of the race is the guy who's also organizing, or who was organizing the race all the years before. Okay. So he's well known. He knows every guy, every woman in the town hall. So he says, "Hey, we're doing a race on this and this day. This is the route." So everybody knows, okay, Martin is doing a race and we need to do this. So everybody is already informed and knows what to do. So it's very easy. And he's the head of the race and of the whole event. And he showed me the forms he has to fill out before a race for all the permits. And I'm very glad that he is there.
So who do those permits go to? Like, who owns the trails? Like, if you want to put markers on the side of a trail and saying, hey, 300 runners are going to come out here on Saturday, does it go to City Hall? Does it
no, yet?
I'm trying to compare this because in the US you have, well, if it's a city park, then city parks department is in charge of it, and then there's national forest land, right? And so you have very clear defined jurisdictions, and it only gets complicated if you cross multiple jurisdictions, right? Meaning you would start in town and then you would run on a county road and then you would run into national forest land, for example, right? But in general, it's very clearly defined. How does it work in Germany? I mean, this is probably a question that nobody on the podcast is interested in hearing the answer to, but I am extremely interested. I'm fascinated by that.
In Germany, especially in Bavaria, we have a law that allows every person to cross a public country. So if you are hiking in Germany, you are allowed to go everywhere you want in Bavaria. So in the mountains and the forests and all this stuff. But all this land is owned by a person or by a company. So yes, you can access every part of the trail, of the route and the mountains, but for such a situation like the race, you have to ask the landowners. So for the first part of the race, it all belongs to the city and to the town hall. So we just ask the mayor or his representative, okay, we want to do a race. This is the route. Please let us do this race. And he says, okay, yes. And for the rest of the parts, especially the mountain trails and all this stuff, we have to ask the landowners, because that's how do you call it? It's owned by a person, private property, and so we have to ask the landowner. But they're all on our side, so it's no problem for us to get the permit.
And do they ask for money? Do they ask for insurance? Is there anything? What are the requirements for that?
So they don't ask for money, for insurance. So if runner is injured on the trails, we have to take care that we are responsible for all the stuff, and not the landowner is put it into jail or something else. If something is happening, we are the guys and responsible for this stuff. And we tell them, okay, it would be great to cross your country, to cross your property, and we're taking care that no garbage is left behind and all this stuff.
Right.
And,
Okay. Well, That's cool. That's a fascinating bit of insight in how this is then done, and in some respects different, and in some respects not different, right? I mean, you need to obviously ask for permission from the people who manage these events. I mean, you had already mentioned that sort of the head of your or club, your volunteer organization, is very involved in the community, which is sort of I think it's a unique part of the Alps, but it's also a very small town. It's sort of normal. Um, do you get a sense that the community enjoys that you bring an event like this to town, or is there a lot of like um feeling of like, we don't want to have to deal with the parked cars and this, and like, how does the community respond to an event like that?
Oh, they absolutely liked it. So the feedback we received after the race, and also the feedback in media, and people walking around and seeing us direct in the race or something else, it was completely, absolutely positive.
Mm-hmm. That's fantastic. So yeah, I mean, that's how a community that understands the benefits of tourism, right? Heads in beds. If you bring people into town, especially international runners, right, then obviously there is a monetary financial benefit for the community,
Yeah, that's
and
right.
then you should be opening your arms to that. But that is not always the case. There are some communities who rather want to be left alone. And so this is an interesting way of looking at these events, then also as an economic driver, right? I mean, you last time on the show talked about running events, running Squamish, where Gary Robbins' races with Coast Mountain Trail Running, and you've probably heard that they didn't get their permit renewed at Whistler.
Whistler, yeah.
And they've made their case in how much economic benefit they're driving to the community. And it seems like, and probably it's not the community that isn't against it. It's probably the resort owners. But it is sort of interesting how some communities could be or some, I don't know, opportunities, places could respond very, very different to an event like that.
We have also the benefit that the local city marketing group is completely supporting us.
Mm-hmm.
So that's also I think that's a great benefit for such a race, and also putting something new into a community and trying to invent some stuff. So it's great to have these guys behind us and helping us to provide and do this race.
Mm-hmm. It's an interesting sign of our times to say, going all the way back to what you said in the beginning, that the marathon lost interest. People didn't sign up. Sure, COVID had an effect on that, but trail running is now the new hot thing, right?
Yeah.
Which also makes sense. I mean, you're already in the mountains. Why wouldn't you want to go up to a mountain, right? I mean, who comes to Bad Reichenhall to run a half marathon? I mean, if you want to run a marathon, you go to Berlin where it's flat and you've got no mountains. You have to run on the roads, right? But if you already have trails, then you might as well run trails, right? So you volunteered. You've been involved for weeks at this. Tell me a little bit some of the highlights of what you were responsible for leading up to the weekend. What are some of the tasks that you performed, that you were in charge of?
Oh, the weather was was the main problem sometimes, because we had a very dry January with less snow. Then we had a wet February leading up to a dry March, and then we have a lot of new snow at the beginning of May. So the trail was already in a perfect condition, I think around April. And the end of April, we said, okay, we can do the race now. And then we had a massive snowfall for this period of the year for May, at the beginning of May. And we said, oh, maybe we need skis for the race.
Yeah.
And then the snow was melting, and we had a lot of rainfall at 2 weeks after the massive snowfall. And then we thought, okay, maybe we had a flood problem, because the first 3K of the race are next to the river. And this river higher and higher and higher. And we thought, oh, maybe that's the next problem. After the snow, we have too much water. But at the end, everything turned out okay and went perfect. We had a sunny race day with, I think, 15 degrees in the morning, 25 degrees in the midday, and around 12 degrees on top of the race. So it was perfect. No snow.
Yeah, good.
Mostly dry.
This is an interesting X factor that, I mean, anyone who puts an outdoor event on will have to deal with the weather and has to make up for it, for whatever is being thrown at them. But I do think with our climate getting more and more erratic, that this will affect race directors around the world and where they can put on, how consistently they can put on races. How comfortable people are going to be to sign up for certain events, right? I mean, if they sign up for events and they every year have to get rerouted, readjusted, date changed, or even canceled because of weather, climate, whatever condition, that will have an effect on the confidence of the runners, right? So that's a big thing. So I'm glad to hear. We had last year a massive snowfall in May here too in the mountains, and my event in late July, I was very much fretting over how much snow would still be on the course. Right? So it was passable, but I had to reroute a very, very small section at the summit for it. So hopefully I don't have to deal with this year. Well, I'm glad. And then race day for you. What were your tasks at race day? Were you the one with the microphone? Were you the one high-fiving runners as they came into the finish? What did you do?
The day started at 6:30. So I checked the lower parts of the route, if there are any problems, if the markings are still there. Then I went to the starting line, doing some stuff and putting on some traffic signs for the traffic, especially at the crossroads. The runners have to cross on the street. Then I did the race briefing right before the race, and then welcomed the runners, taking photos at the finish line. Yes,
nice.
So supporting the guy on the microphone.
Super. That's a fun and very rewarding place to be, right? I think you need some people in the background to make sure that the traffic cones that have fallen over are put back up or whatever, right? Or did you have aid stations? Did you have support on the course?
No.
Not really too short.
For this event, we had over 120 volunteers from the local club. So from the finish line, aid station. But we had no aid stations on course. So just some course marshals on the difficult points, even the crossroads, where we also had the local fire brigade. And on the higher section of the route, we had the mountain rescue team, 25 people taking care of the runners. Yeah, no aid stations. We had the possibility, or the runners had the possibility to pay for a beer at the mountain hut on top of the route. But nobody wants to buy something, so they directly descended after the climb. But for next year, we are thinking about putting on 1 or maybe 2 aid stations on the route. We will see, maybe.
Yeah. Well, super. That's a massive amount of volunteers that you had to organize and manage, and people that were willing to help out. It's great to have so many people, right? That's fantastic. So did anything go wrong? Any big things that you had to fix throughout the race?
No. So everything went nearly perfect. So just some small parts we have to improve for next year, but the event, the organization, nothing big to change for next year.
Super. Well, massive congratulations to you. I mean, we're recording this on Tuesday. The event was this weekend. I don't know. I hope you got some sleep to recover.
Yes. I'm a bit sick, so a little cold, and also a little bit tired, heavy legs, but it was worth it.
It was worth it. Fantastic. No, I I think, how do you feel? You run races yourself, and then when you organize them, for me as a race director, I sometimes feel an event like that, organizing an event and seeing the runners at the finish line and seeing what weeks of preparation and dreaming up the course and making sure everything goes over safely, and then seeing the runners come in to finish and seeing how excited they are, it almost feels more rewarding than running yourself.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right?
Goosebumps from start to finish.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I feel the same way. There is something so, I don't know, so magical, if you will, when you put something out there that you sort of dreamed up, and then runners sign up and they trust you. They trust you to give them a great experience. They trust you to keep them safe and stuff. And then when they come to the finish line, they're so exhausted, right? It's not like you just gave them a piece of cake, right? I mean, you made them work really, really hard. You made them suffer. But then they're so excited and elated when they come through the finish line, and they're like, wow, I achieved it. Wow, I was able to do that. It's beautiful.
Yeah, extremely nervous at the race briefing, and then the crowd took off, and there was the silence in the start finish area, and I said, oh, okay, now calm down, relax. But then you see on the live ticker, we had 2 time points on the course to see if the runners, where the runners are, and to gain the time for the whole climb and the whole downhill. And then you take a look at the ticker and say, oh, okay, they're really fast. Oh no, and the last guy has passed the first section, and then the down. Oh no, whoa, fast! And then you have to rescue, to direct contact to the mountain rescue guys via your walkie-talkie, and also hearing, okay, everything is going. The first runner passed, the second runner passed. Oh, and then the first runner came back to the finish line, and then goosebumps till the end. And the people are laughing, and they're exhausted for sure, but also you see the pictures you normally know from other races. So people are crossing the finish line with their kids, running together with the small kids, or kids on the arm, and kissing each other after crossing the finish line. And then you realize, hey, that's our race. That's not others' race, and you are not looking at a race from UTMB or something else. No, it's your race. You're organized with all the guys from the team, and you're responsible for exactly this situation. So that's a great feeling. I really like it.
It's fantastic. It's fantastic. You wrote on Instagram, you learned a lot from Gary Robbins, or you channeled your inner Gary Robbins. Explain what do you mean by that? I know that you've run his races before, but what in particular did you mean by that?
I think the passion to organize such a race, to give the people something back you received from other races, and to let them take part in this trail running world. I think that's something I learned from Gary, and to welcome them at the finish line, to show them, hey, great to have you here, and welcome back, and also to get the information and the feeling, how was the race, was it good, was it bad, what could we do better, and to interact with the people after the accomplishment. So
fantastic. Yeah, I feel you 100%. It's so fascinating. I mean, I just ran a race, and it was great to run and race myself, and also to observe how other race directors organize races and to learn. But hearing you and your experience gets me really excited for my upcoming race that I'm organizing. I still have a few weeks, but I'm slowly starting to gear up and starting to think about, okay, I need to get practical again. I've got the permit, I've got everything lined up, but I haven't really had to do anything. The big work is starting here in a few weeks. So no, it's very, very cool. Well, super. So you get to recover for a few days. Now, putting on your racing cap again, What are your plans for the rest of the year? Do you have races lined up yourself?
Yes, two races. One is the Zugspitz Ultra Trail. It's
Okay.
in 4 weeks. Yes, 110K around the highest mountain of Germany.
Okay, you're doing the full distance.
Yes. And in October, I'm doing Festival Templiers. It's a big
Ooh.
race in France. I think it's bigger than UTMB, but not as popular as UTMB. With 14 or 10 or 14 different races, over 10,000 participants, and I'm doing the 105K there.
Okay. So both of these events aren't UTMB qualifiers.
No, but Western States qualifiers.
Western States. That's what I wanted to hear. All right. Okay. So, Zugspitz Ultra, 4 weeks. How are you feeling? That is like hot time to get your final training in.
I need to do a long run.
I was just going to say that organizing a race was not helpful.
No, but I think it's possible to finish. So
nice.
It will work out at the end.
Well, if you still had snow in your town, how is Zugspitz for snow levels?
I think it was a record snow level in May. But I don't know if it also how's the track looking now. Because the track doesn't lead until the top to the top of the mountain. Just circumnavigates Zugspitz, and I don't know if there's any snow on the racetrack. Maybe at the highest point you have a small or bigger snow field, but I think it doesn't impact the race.
Okay. Because I've been watching the reports for the World Championship in Innsbruck, and they still have quite a bit of snow on the course, and they're giving updates about it. And did you see the snow levels at Western States?
Yes.
So it's going to be a very interesting year over there. The Sierras have gotten record snow dumped, and so this is this is going to be a very interesting year. You can almost be happy that you didn't get into Western States this year. I think it's going to be a very challenging year. But this is your ultimate goal, Western States.
Yes, still the ultimate goal.
Still the ultimate. How many years in a row have you put in?
5. It was the 5th year this year. Wait, let me check. I've got my notes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yes, the 5th year. Yeah.
Okay. So it should be getting easier every year, right?
Yes.
More frustrating too, and you always need a qualifier, but man, your chances should increase.
Yeah.
I think we talked about this last time on the show, but now that I've just been down in Auburn, have you been on the course on Western States? You've not been. So from far, well, ask me anything. I'm not the expert on Western States because I've ran the last 3 miles from No Hands Bridge back up into town. What is it about Western States? What is it for you that is so fascinating?
I don't know. After I've heard about this race, I think it was in 2013 or 14, I thought, oh yeah, I want to run this race. Yeah, it's the oldest 100 mile in the world, so maybe that's the thing. I don't know, but I really fucking want to run this race.
I mean, it's fine. The history obviously makes sense, and I'm not saying that you shouldn't run this race. Lots of people want it, right? But I think there's a little bit of a fascinating thing where Americans see European races, and it's to them a very unique atmosphere. So they really, really, really want to experience running in the Alps, running around Chamonix, Mont Blanc area, just because they don't experience that kind of atmosphere and even those kind of trails, really. And I think perhaps for Europeans, Western states is sort of the image of what trail running is as a way of being very different, right? I mean, as you say, I mean, Zugspitz is definitely different, but in Europe, you don't have to run UTMB. You have dozens of races that are very similar, right? I mean, I'm making it a little easy, but it is so it's not the biggest draw.
Yeah.
Did you hear?
The atmosphere in Chamonix is unique. So,
I mean, 100%. I think you can't compare even big races like Eiger or Lavaredo or so don't have that level of passionate audience and spectators that kind of adds to the atmosphere. That definitely sets UTMB apart from other races. Now, speaking of UTMB, during your race weekend, UTMB launched and raced for the first time that Grand Trail Alsace Est, I don't know how it's pronounced, that new race in the Alsace. Does it have an effect on you? Do you see in UTMB in many ways is expanding even more aggressive in Europe? Do you, from a race director point of view, do you feel like that is competition for you? Do you feel like they are stealing runners from your event?
I don't know. I think the UTMB races are more aiming for the people who want to run the longest distances. So 80K, 100K, 100 miles. And our race is a short distance race, so only 20K. So I think the people who want to run these races are completely different.
So for you particular race, and do you feel like that people, talk about it? I mean, what is the feeling when you talk to some of your trail running friends? How do people perceive UTMB in Europe?
That's a good question.
I think in the US, especially in the US media, there is a subset of people who have strong opinions around what UTMB and that partnership. It feels very corporate takeover, overlord wanting to rule everything. And so there is, I think, a sentiment where people are sort of turning against UTMB. They don't like how big the events are, how, sort of this spider crawls and picks up races everywhere and stuff. And so people are sort of worrying what that does to trail running in itself. And I'm curious if people in Europe have similar conversations.
Yeah, in Germany, they often compare it with Ironman. What Ironman did with the triathlons. So Ironman is also part of UTMB, or is UTMB part of Ironman group? I don't know. There's a connection between UTMB and
Ironman bought a minority stake in the UTMB.
Yeah,
and so Ironman owns a portion of.
Often compare the UTMB behavior with the Ironman behavior in the triathlon 20 years ago.
And this is a bad thing? Do they compare it in a negative way? I don't know much about Ironman in triathlons to see what they did was bad or good.
I'm not that deep in, but mostly I've read negative comments about this. So only minority is positive about it.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's also interesting that there is no UTMB race in Germany. What is in general, to your opinion, what is the biggest trail race? Is it Zugspitz in Germany?
Germany, we have the Rennsteiglauf. That's they call it. It's on forest roads, mainly on forest service roads. It's not comparable with a pure trail run, but it's the biggest we call it Landschaftslauf in Germany. I don't know if the translation of Landschaftslauf in English.
That's a perfect. It's such a perfect differentiation. The landscape run.
Landscape run. Yes, it's a. I think that's one of the biggest races with around 14,000 participants. It's
wow!
An ultra marathon distance with 72 kilometers, marathon distance and a half marathon distance.
And where is it? I've heard of it, but I can't place it.
Thuringia.
Huh. That's interesting. I could not play 14,000.
Yes, I think 1,000.
Yeah, but if it's not a real trail race, which there is a big differentiator in Europe, right? Because I think over here we only differentiate between trail and ultra, and in many ways, I think due to the history of Western states, I think many trail races are trying to aim to be ultras, right? I think over here, we try to aim to immediately go into the ultra distance. So if you say trail running, you usually means plus marathon distance. But it doesn't have to be, of course. But I think in then these races, I mean, just think of Western States. I mean, Western States is barely a trail race. It would be almost more Landschaftslauf. If you think of the trails, right? It's not a mountain race, and it's not
that's right.
Purely single track, right? I mean, from the actual trail profile, I think it almost would not be a classic trail race in Europe, right?
Yeah. But if we say, okay, try to find the biggest trail race or mountain trail race in Germany, then I think it's Zugspitz Ultra.
Zugspitz Ultra. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. There is one in Franken too, right? I think there's one fairly big one in Franken. The name escapes me, but
there was the Ultra Trail Fränkische Schweiz 2 weeks or 3 weeks ago.
Okay. Yeah. No, it wasn't that one. It had a funny name. Yeah. Anyway, that doesn't make for very good podcasting if I'm trying to sit here trying to remember the names of races in Germany. So the Rennsteiglauf, I need to find a link to that because 14,000 people is massive. I need to find some pictures of that. That's fantastic. I try
to find out if I can get the quick link with the number of participants. Google is not my friend today.
Google is not your friend. It's okay. Well, let's talk a little bit about Zugspitzlauf because that is more of a classic trail race that fits the UTMB model so well because it circumnavigates the biggest mountain in Germany. So it's sort of very much built in the same model as UTMB. Is it your first year or have you run it before?
I've run it 2 times before. So it was my first trail race in 2012 on the shorter distance, around 68K, I think. And I did the full distance, the 100K in 2014. But now they have a new route. So the longest distance is now 110K. But I think I know 95% of the route.
Okay. Knowing meaning you've run the trails, you're familiar with them. How hard is it? I don't know. Compare it to Squamish. I think that's a good comparison. Podcast here in the Pacific Northwest, we talk about Squamish all the time. You've run Squamish. Compared to Squamish, 50 miler.
There's also a flat section, not at the beginning, like in Squamish, but in the middle of the race where you have to run, I think, 10 or 15K on a flat bicycle road path, whatever.
Yeah.
And then you have, I think, four major climbs. Mixed terrain from forest service road to smaller trails up to single trails, but not that technical, or maybe the most technical parts are comparable with Squamish.
Okay. And I mean, Zugspitze isn't that high in you anyway, they're not going to the summit. So you're not dealing with altitude. You don't have to worry about like the way you would have to at Hard Rock or so, right?
No,
Where
no.
you're so high up. So you don't have to worry about that. So how many runners roughly, right? It's a few thousand too, right?
Yes, a few thousand, 2,000,
Okay.
1,800 on all distances. So they have also, I think, five different distances, and I think 500, maybe 600 on the longest distance.
Yeah. Fantastic.
Maybe. I'm not that good with numbers.
Yeah, I'm not that good with numbers. And for you, is the main motivator to run this because it's a Western State qualifier, or is the Templars the Western States qualifier for you, and Zugspitze is just a race to prime yourself up for it?
No. Zugspitze is something like let's come back after 8 years or 9 years back to Zugspitze and see how the race changed over the years and how the participants changed over the years. Yes, sure. I want to finish and I want to get my Western States qualifier. And yes, Templiers is more a running vacation with friends. So we are a group of 10, I think, running the race or different races during Templiers. And but I also want to finish Templiers for sure.
No, for sure. I mean, if we pay the race entry fee, we want to finish. That's 100%. But I love the idea of the running vacation.
I have unfinished business with Templiers because I've run there 2019, also on the 100K distance, but it was only 3 weeks after Whistler, my first 100-miler. And so I have I had to quit after I think 30K because I was empty, not motivated, and so I decided to quit the race. And so this year
sometimes
time to
sometimes we think we still have it in us, right? But sometimes we're so empty that even mentally we don't want to motivate our body to move, right? It's like, why am I putting one foot in front of the other? This is so dumb. I cannot do it. All right, so you're going for redemption. I like it. Well, that seems like a good summer you got planned. I like it. Are you? So the next plan to come back to the US is with your Western States ticket in hand.
So the ideal way is to get the qualifier this year and to get drawn in the lottery to run Western States next year. If I'm not lucky enough for the lottery this year, then I'm thinking about Fat Dog 120 for
okay. Yeah. This is British Columbia, 120 miles, fairly tough one. I mean, all I can say is it's a bummer that you missed hosting the Trail Running Film Festival because there's a small segments in one of the films where Nettie from Ohio runs Fat Dog 120. It's not the main focus. The main focus, to make it even more cruel for you, is her running Western States. But there's a segment of Fat Dog. So I think you very much need to catch her film just to torture yourself about what you're trying to do. That's fantastic. So yes, we should quickly finish this off. You were trying very hard to bring the Trail Running Film Festival to your race, and sadly enough, the logistics around trying to find a location to screen your local theater, you just couldn't get it to work out. Let's hope that for the coming year we can make it work, because we are already, I can't say hard at work, but we've already started the process of working on the 2024 tour. And I'm excited of the idea of bringing the film festival to even more locations in Europe.
Count us in. That's one of my main goals for next year's race.
I like it. Tell me a little bit about your evening programming for your event. Did you have anything official planned, or did you just say, hey, these are the 3 restaurants, beer gardens that people should go to? What did you have planned in the evenings?
For Friday, so the day before, or the evening before the race, we had a elite runners presentation.
Mhm.
And then mostly the people went off to the hotels and accommodations. And after the races on Saturday, we had a live band, live music, beer, burgers.
Fantastic.
So it was a bit like an American or Canadian race.
Yeah, there we go. I mean, I say this on every podcast, and I hope that by me repeating myself over and over again, I somehow can make the universe make it happen for you. Just like with you with Western States, the ultimate dream is to once a year come to Europe and run a race over there for me. I need to come back. So I need to all the information, all the races, because again, I also don't think it has to be an ultra every year, because running vacation, right? Why not come
to Bad
and
Reichenhall
go
to run 19K.
exactly, right? And then you're not completely exhausted and you have enough in you to really enjoy the beer and the burger and the live music.
Yes.
I like this idea.
You will get a free entry. Let me know.
Oh, there we go. I like it. I like it. I appreciate it. Well, if you're hosting the film festival next year, then I need to talk to my board. I think we should need to build into the budget for me to just spend the entire spring in Europe, and I'm touring through Europe with the film festival.
Okay.
I think that would be terrific. I don't know if we can afford it, but it would be fun.
So for you, free entry and unlimited beer.
Oh, I mean, unlimited beer, I'm absolutely counting on. We just have to make sure that I don't, if I need to take the microphone during the film festival at some point, I make sure that I pace myself with drinking before the event. I need to wait until the second half of the film festival. I can run the 19K drunk. That's not the big deal. But if I need to take the microphone for the film festival, I need to be coherent, especially if I need to speak German. Oh my goodness, my German is so bad. It would not be a good idea. On the other side, who knows? Perhaps enough beer and my German comes back.
Yeah, it's the same with English and me.
Oh, Steve, this was fantastic. Thank you so much for giving us a little bit of insight into your world of being a race director, now on top of a trail runner. Links. You have an Instagram account? You have a personal Instagram account, but we should link you and also link the race so people can learn a little bit about it. Do you have that on top of your head, or should I just link it in the show notes?
City und Trail. So it's not and trail, it's the German and, so it's a city UND trail. City und Trail. So you can find us on Instagram and cityundtrail.de in the internet.
Perfect. Super. We'll link that. Fantastic. And then your personal Instagram?
Up to the top.
Up to the top. I like it. Fantastic. Super. Steve, fantastic to catch up with you again. Thank you for taking the time. And now, good recovery, and then to dig back in before Zugspitz.
Yes.
I like it.
Thank you, Matthias. And see you in Bad Reichenhall next year.
I like it.
And then, in Western States.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So I could repay you at Western States and come and crew for you.
You're welcome.
I like it.